Hello and welcome. It is the 22nd annual Garden State Film Festival. This year there will be 200 films from over 14 countries screening the weekend of March 21st to the 24th of this year. I am your host, Emily DeSimone, and I am here with director Kyle Finnegan of the documentary short MSG, Mysterious Savory Grains. Kyle, thank you so much for joining me, and can you give our viewers a tidbit about the film?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Emily. MSG, Mysterious Savory Grains, is all about the bad boy of seasonings, monosodium glutamate, the history of its stigma, and then Chef Tim Ma's mission to overcome that stigma and share his culture through food.
That sounds like a pretty cool topic. I mean, how'd you get in on that?
Yeah, well, I guess I make this film as a convert because I grew up hearing how bad monosodium glutamate was, avoiding it, thinking it had no place in my kitchen. But a friend had a patient conversation with me and, insisted that I give it a try. And I've been cooking with it ever since. And yeah, I was just really interested in how it got the reputation that it has today. And then this new generation of chefs who is working to overcome that stigma.
And can you tell me a bit about, your background in film and how did you get to meet this person, I guess, that helped you with this film? And then I'd love to hear about your background in directing.
Yeah, let's see. I started as many of us did, as part of like the YouTube generation, and picked up a camera at like 11 or 12, and just started making films that way. And kept up with it. Got to go to film school at George Mason University, which is my alma mater, and they actually supported this film through a grant, which was very generous of them.
Awesome.
But my first job actually was working in a kitchen. I think I spent one summer doing nothing but chopping onions. So I've been really interested in food and the stories they hold. And I came across Chef Tim Ma's, actually one of his recipes that used MSG. And I thought, if this guy is proudly using MSG, I think there's a story here, because he's a second generation chef actually. And so he knows a lot about food history. And he was like a natural fit to be the protagonist in this film.
Okay, so you cook, and I mean, I know personally that I have always heard bad things about MSG and that it's not healthy and whatnot. I mean, I know personally I've heard of it when it's like in relation to like Chinese food, but like how
Mhm.
else is it used? I mean, I hope I'm not like sticking it in just one, little box, but
Yeah. I think through conversations with people outside of the film crew, I think that's where most people think that they experience MSG is in Chinese food. That carries the most stigma, but probably most often you're seeing it in canned soup, Doritos, Cheetos, Hidden Valley Ranch dressing, one of America's favorite condiments, has MSG in it. So it's really all over the place. And research in recent years has said that it's not dangerous to us in the amount that we consume. So you should totally feel free to give it a try in your own
it's
cooking.
really what I like to eat and not feel bad about it. Okay.
Exactly. Yes. Decide for yourself. I think that's the message we came away with.
And so are documentaries your main focus when you do direct? Or, I mean, is this, like something that's outside of the box for you?
No, I really consider myself mainly a documentary filmmaker. I went to school to learn narrative filmmaking, and I think I draw inspiration from a lot of narrative films. But I'm always interested in real people, and getting to know them and talk to strangers, I think, is a really fun part of the job. So yeah, I'm a documentary filmmaker through and through.
Okay. And is this your first time submitting to Garden State?
It is. It is. I think this is really the first short documentary I've produced independently,
Oh,
in
cool.
earnest. I work as a commercial filmmaker, and do a lot of branded documentaries, but this is the first real passion project that I've gotten out into the world.
Well, congratulations on having it accepted into the film festival. Do you have
Thank
future
you.
plans for this work?
Yeah, I think we've got a couple other festivals coming up after Garden State. On the West Coast, we're making some premieres there. But we've also been working with Good Docs, an educational distributor, to get the film out to classrooms, and community events so people can sort of experience it in a more academic context.
I mean, it's definitely a piece to learn from. So I mean, I'm already like definitely interested in it. Like I've watched, How's It Made? If
Hmm.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So like this, like
absolutely.
obviously this is probably a little different than that, but like I've watched so much of that. So like this is definitely very intriguing for me personally.
Yeah.
What would you say was your biggest challenge making this specific film documentary, and what was your favorite part?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges, it's funny that you mentioned how it's made because, putting this film in a historical context, we were really digging through the archives for like old industrial films about like food manufacturing. And we did find a lot of like old food manufacturing videos from the 50s and 60s. But there is such a treasure trove of archival footage out there, and digging through it takes a lot of time. So that definitely ate up a big chunk of our time. That was one of our toughest challenges, figuring out what the right shots were. I think probably my favorite part of this film was getting to talk to Chef Tim Ma in his kitchen. We got to see him cook a bunch, and I mean, you learn a lot just from talking to someone about their craft and about cooking. But really seeing him in action, it shows like how much of a pro he is, and he was teaching us little tricks as he was throwing stuff in the wok and just kind of talking through some of the ingredients. I thought that was really fun, and he fed us all. I mean, I could just
That
that.
definitely sounds like that would have been my favorite part of the whole process. But
Yeah.
how long did this process take you?
I think from pitching to get the grant funding for this to completing was about a year and a quarter, I would say. So pre-production, probably we spent 6 months of researching. Um, I think we had 3 or 4 shoot days, and then spent a solid half a year editing this thing and submitting it to festivals. I think in the documentary space, it's actually feels kind of quick, given that some people like devote their whole lives to making one documentary film. But yeah, it definitely felt like a labor of love.
I mean, is this something for you that, because you've been saying that you've kind of been doing some documentaries, do you have more, in the treasure trove, like in the works that you think you're going to be working on moving forward?
I think so. I'm hoping to find a story that will bring me home to my the great state of New Jersey. Get to be around my people again. I don't live there anymore, but New Jersey still feels like home to me. So I would love to get back there and find an interesting documentary subject.
And where are you streaming in from at this time?
I am in Alexandria, Virginia, right across the river from DC.
So you're still on the Eastern Standard Time frame then?
Yep, yep. So getting back up to New Jersey is not that difficult. Yeah, a couple hours drive.
A straight shot up, I think, I-95,
Yep, yep.
right?
95 to the turnpike. Yep. I
Mhm.
think you probably go fastest on the turnpike once you get up there.
And would you like, did working in film bring you down that way, or what took you down there?
It did, it did. I went to, like I said, I went to school at George Mason University, and that's in Virginia, and made a lot of connections with great filmmakers, some of which got to work on this film with me. And yeah, that kind of kept me in the area working around here.
So you have an educational background now in working in film, narrative film specifically, and it seems as though you've been doing this now a few years outside of college.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
I mean, like for people that are getting into filmmaking that have the same interests as you in narrative film, like what's a good piece of advice that you would give them?
Yeah, I think no matter what you're working in, whether it's documentary or fiction filmmaking, I think just get absorbed into things that might not apply to what you're working on at all. I think one of the films that we watched was a 70s crime movie, and it gave us a lot of inspiration for the editing for this film. And I don't think I would have ever expected that would influence, like a very factually driven documentary. But I think like you have to be constantly searching for inspiration. I think all creative work is, say it's inspiration applied. So be on the lookout for inspiration and keep learning those tools that are going to help you apply it.
Well, I'm actually really looking forward to watching MSG and learning something new, getting rid of a stigma that
Yeah.
I didn't really know I had, but I definitely did have. As soon as I saw the title, I was like, MSG seems kind of like it's going to be a horror story, but it
Mhm.
seems like it's actually going to be pretty cool. So you guys can
Yeah.
check out the documentary short MSG, Mysterious Savory Grains at Asbury Lanes on Saturday, March 23rd during the 11:45 a.m. to 2 p.m. block. Kyle, I hope to see you at the Garden State Film Festival this year, where there are 200 films screening across 8 venues, including hosting parties, panels, events, and more. Guys, get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. Kyle, I'm actually like really looking forward to meeting you. You seem like you're a pretty cool person. Are you going to come to the festival this year?
Absolutely. And I think we'll be there after the screening to pass out some stickers and other goodies for the film. So definitely try to find us afterwards.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Kyle. I can't wait.
Yeah. Thank you, Emily. Take care.